The first time it happened, I thought it was a coincidence. I live in a mid-sized apartment complex with an underground parking garage. Nothing fancy. License plate recognition at the entrance. Camera reads your plate. Gate opens automatically. Simple. It usually works when you pull up close enough for the camera to scan the plate. You stop. It reads. The gate lifts. 2 seconds. That's normal. But one evening, I noticed something strange. I was about 20 meters from the entrance, still rolling forward slowly. And the gate opened. Not as I approached. Not when I stopped. Before. At least 8 to 10 seconds before I reached the sensor line. I remember glancing at the security camera mounted above the gate. There's no way it could read my plate from that far. The angle's wrong. The lighting's bad. There's a slight bend in the driveway. I shrugged it off. Maybe the system was more advanced than I thought. Maybe it cached frequent residents. Maybe someone inside triggered it manually. The second time was harder to ignore. It happened at 6:42 p.m. Same distance. Same timing. The gate started rising before my headlights fully turned into the driveway. I checked my speed. I wasn't driving unusually fast. The app for the building has a log section for garage access. I opened it. Entry logged. 6 hours 42 minutes and 13 seconds p.m. Plate recognized. I checked my dashcam timestamp. At 6 hours 42 minutes and 13 seconds p.m. I was still turning into the street. I wasn't even facing the gate yet. The camera shouldn't have been able to read my plate, unless it didn't need to. I started paying attention. For the next few days, I slowed down deliberately. I wanted to see when exactly the gate reacted. Day 3. I turned onto my street. The garage entrance was about 30 meters ahead. At least 10 seconds away. The gate started rising. I wasn't even aligned with the driveway yet. No line of sight. No direct angle. Just the gate lifting. Smoothly. Confidently. Like it already knew. That night, I went into the building app again. The access logs were precise. Each entry timestamped to the second. And each entry showed recognition source. LPR camera 01. License plate recognition camera 1. That's the camera above the gate. There aren't any others. No street-facing cameras connected to the garage system. At least none that residents are told about. I decided to test something. The next evening, I didn't drive home at my usual time. Normally, I arrive between 6:30 and 7 p.m. That day, I left work early, arrived at 5:12 p.m. The gate still opened early. Not 10 seconds this time, more like 5. But still, before I reached the sensor. The log said, plate recognized, 5 hours 12 minutes and 7 seconds p.m. At 5 hours 12 minutes and 7 seconds. I was halfway down the street, and I tried the opposite. I stayed late at work, arrived at 8:54 p.m. The gate opened even earlier, almost 15 seconds, before I reached it. Like it was adjusting. Predicting. Not reacting. That word stuck in my head. Predicting. I opened the building's Smart Services section in the app. There was a feature description I hadn't paid attention to before. Adaptive access optimization. Improves entry efficiency for frequent residents. That sounded harmless. But when I tapped Learn More, it describes something else. Uses behavioral arrival patterns to pre-stage access points for reduced wait time. Pre-stage. I read it again. Pre-stage access points. Meaning the system didn't wait for plate recognition. It anticipated. Based on historical behavior, arrival times, traffic patterns, maybe even phone location. I checked the app permissions, location services, enabled. Bluetooth, enabled. Background activity, allowed. I disabled location. The next day, same thing. The gate opened early. I turned off Bluetooth. Still opened. I even logged out of the app. Entirely. No change. The system wasn't using my phone directly. It was using something else. Day 7. I tried something more deliberate. I drove halfway down my street, then turned around. Didn't go to the garage at all. From my rearview mirror, I saw it. The gate started rising. I hadn't committed to the turn. I wasn't approaching directly. I just drove down the street like I might be going home, and the gate opened. Then slowly lowered again when I continued past. I checked the log. Entry attempt the log. Plate recognized. No. Full entry. The timestamp was the exact moment I passed the midpoint of the street. The system wasn't reacting to proximity. It was reacting to trajectory. I zoomed in on the access log details. There was a new line I hadn't noticed before. Prediction confidence, 87%. Prediction. Not recognition. Prediction. The next entry had prediction confidence, 92%. It was increasing. The system was learning my routine, and it was getting more certain. At first, it felt convenient. No waiting. No stopping. Smooth entry. But then I started wondering, what happens if the prediction is wrong? And what else is it predicting? Because if it knows I'm coming 10 seconds before I arrive, then it must be tracking more than just my license plate. After I saw the prediction confidence number, I couldn't ignore it anymore. It wasn't just opening early. It was calculating, and the confidence was increasing. Day 8. I decided to do something simple. I didn't drive home at all. I took a taxi, left my car in the office parking lot. At 6:38 p.m. Around my usual arrival time, I opened the building app. Garage access logged 6 hours 38 minutes and 11 seconds p.m. Prediction trigger gate pre-staged. No plate recognition. No confirmed entry. Just prediction. The gate had opened, and I wasn't even in the vehicle. I stared at the screen in the back seat of the taxi. The system had activated the garage for a car that wasn't coming. When I got home, I checked the security camera feed for the garage entrance. The gate had lifted fully, stayed open for about 12 seconds, then lowered. No car entered. The system had acted on probability alone. The next day, I escalated. I drove to a grocery store 2 blocks before my street. Parked. Waited. At 6:41 p.m. I checked the app. 6 hours 41 minutes and 9 seconds p.m. Prediction triggered. Confidence 94%. The gate opened. I was still sitting in the grocery store parking lot. That's when I realized something important. The system wasn't tracking my phone. It wasn't reading my plate. It was predicting based on route history. Every weekday for months, I had taken the same turn. At roughly the same time. The system had built a model, and now it no longer needed confirmation. It assumed. I went into the app's privacy section. Buried under smart mobility enhancements was a line. Traffic adaptive access modeling uses aggregated vehicle telemetry from nearby sensors. I walked around my street the next morning. On 2 lampposts near the corner, there were small black boxes I had never noticed before. Discrete. No signage. Likely city traffic counters or building installed vehicle detection nodes. If those sensors detected a vehicle matching my profile, size, speed, route frequency, the garage system could begin pre-staging. Not because it saw my plate, but because it recognized the pattern of my car. My car's weight profile. My acceleration behavior. The way I brake before turning. Day 10. I borrowed my friend's car. Different size, different color, different engine sound. Drove home at my usual time. The gate did not open early. It stayed down until I reached the sensor. Then it scanned the plate and lifted normally. Log plate recognized prediction confidence, 12%. Low, which meant the system didn't just rely on schedule. It recognized my specific vehicle behavior. Day 11. I drove my own car, but changed my route. Took a longer way home, approached from a different street. The gate hesitated. No early opening. only lifted when I reached the camera.log call on prediction. Triggered. Confidence 43% reduced. The system needed consistent pathing. But then something changed. Day 12. I didn't leave work until 9:10 p.m. way outside my normal arrival window. As I turned onto my street, the gate was already open. Fully raised. No hesitation. No delay. Log call on prediction. Confidence 98% pre-arrival window. Extended. The system was no longer relying strictly on time. It was anticipating me as soon as I entered a certain radius. Even if the time was unusual, that's when it stopped feeling convenient. And started feeling invasive. Because if it could predict my arrival that accurately, it meant it had a map of my behavior. Not just timestamps, but movement signature, driving style, route consistency, probability of return. Then something else happened. Day 13. I left work early, but instead of driving home, I drove past my street. Didn't slow down, didn't signal, just continued straight. The gate opened. Anyway, I saw it in my side mirror. Fully raised, for a car that never turned. And in the app log, prediction triggered, expected. Arrival, 6:37 p.m. Arrival not confirmed, expected. Arrival. Not just probable. Expected. The system had crossed from guessing to assumption. And that's when I wondered, what happens if it starts expecting something else? Because once a system reaches 98% confidence, it doesn't wait for confirmation anymore. It acts. And if it acts based on expectation, then the prediction becomes reality. Day 14. I decided to stop reacting and start measuring. If the system was predicting, then it had variables: distance, time, route consistency, speed profile. So I opened my dashcam logs and compared them to the garage access timestamps. For the last week, the gate had been opening between 8 and 15 seconds before I reached the sensor line. But something subtle had changed. The gap between prediction triggered and plate recognized was shrinking. The system wasn't just opening early. It was narrowing the arrival window. Day 15. As I turned onto my street at 6:39 p.m., the gate opened. I was still 20 meters away. But as I rolled closer, I noticed something different. It started lowering sooner. Before I fully cleared the entrance. Not dangerously. Just earlier than usual. Log. Prediction triggered. 6 hours 39 minutes and 2 seconds p.m. Arrival window adjusted. 6 hours 39 minutes and 11 seconds p.m. Plate recognized. 6 hours 39 minutes and 13 seconds p.m. Arrival window adjusted. That wasn't there before. The next day, I slowed down deliberately. Almost crawled toward the entrance. The gate opened early, then started closing again before I reached it. I had to accelerate slightly to avoid waiting for the next cycle. Log call on prediction. Confidence 99% arrival window narrowed. The system wasn't just predicting my arrival. It was optimizing around it. It expected me to arrive within a tighter time frame. If I deviated, it corrected. Day 16. I stopped halfway down the street. Completely stationary. Engine idling. The gate opened. 10 seconds. Past. It lowered. Then opened again. Then lowered again. As if recalculating. Log call on prediction recalibrated 3 cycles. Behavioral deviation. Detected behavioral deviation. I drove forward slowly after that. The gate opened immediately. Confidence remained at 99%. It had learned enough about me that one anomaly didn't reset the model. It compensated. That night, I dug deeper into the app settings. There was a hidden analytics tab, not visible in the main UI, accessible through the web dashboard. Under Mobility Insights. There it was, a heat map of my weekly arrival patterns. Colored intensity clusters between 6:32 and 6:47 p.m. Average speed, 28 kilometers per hour. On approach. Turn angle variance. Brake pressure consistency. The system had built a behavioral profile. Not just of my schedule, but of how I drive. And then I saw something else. A small graph labeled projected future. Arrivals projected. The chart extended 7 days forward, with estimated arrival times. Down to the minute. Tomorrow, 6:41 p.m. Confidence, 97%. Thursday, 6:38 p.m. Confidence, 95%. Saturday, 2:12 p.m. Confidence, 61%. It wasn't just reacting anymore. It was planning. Day 17. I did something impulsive. At 6:30 p.m. Instead of going home, I drove onto the highway in the opposite direction. Left the city entirely. At 6:38 p.m. My phone buzzed. Garage notification. Access pre-staged. I wasn't even within 5 kilometers of the building. The system had triggered purely on expectation. It didn't care about confirmation anymore. It had enough historical certainty. That's when the first 217 event happened. It was 217. I woke up randomly. No sound. No notification. Just instinct. I checked my phone. Garage log. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds a.m. Prediction triggered confidence. 83%. There was no reason for that. I had never arrived home at 2:17 a.m. Not once. No. Late night patterns. No irregular events. Yet the system had activated. The camera feed showed the gate lifting slowly. The driveway empty. It stayed open for 12 seconds, then lowered. The next morning, I checked the predictive chart again. There was a new cluster forming. 2:17 a.m. Low confidence. But present. Day 18. 2:17 a.m. Again. Prediction triggered confidence 86%. No vehicle. No movement. Just the system acting on something. The heat map now showed 2 clusters, 6:40 p.m. And faintly 2:17 a.m. I scrolled through the raw telemetry. There was a new category: behavioral drift simulation. The system wasn't just predicting based on past data. It was testing hypothetical future patterns, running arrival scenarios, and at least one of those simulations had crossed into activation. It was opening the gate for an arrival that had never happened. And now it was doing it consistently. Which meant one thing: the system wasn't waiting for behavior to exist. It was modeling potential behavior and rehearsing it. Day 19. At 2:16 a.m. I stayed awake, opened the live garage camera feed. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. The gate began to rise. Empty driveway. Silent street. No headlights. No engine sound. Just the mechanical hum of the barrier. Lifting. It felt different watching it live. Not a glitch. Not random. A controlled, deliberate action. The log read: prediction confidence. 91% projected arrival imminent. Imminent based on what? I was in bed. My car was parked downstairs. No movement. No ignition. Yet the system believed I was about to arrive, and its confidence was increasing. The next day, the projected future arrivals chart updated. It now listed 2:17 a.m. to 93%, 6:40 p.m. to 99%. 2. Expected arrivals per day. 1 real. 1 simulated. And the system was treating both as legitimate. Day 22:16 m. I was already awake. Phone in my hand. Garage camera feed open. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. The gate began to rise. Smooth. Confident. Empty. Driveway. Log. Colon prediction. Triggered confidence. 95%. The barrier stayed open for 14 seconds. Then lowered. Nothing unusual physically. But the log had changed. Below the prediction entry, there was a new line. Missed arrival recorded. Missed arrival. The system believed I was supposed to enter, and I didn't. The next night, 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. Gate opened again. Confidence, 97%. Missed arrival recorded. Day 22. Confidence, 98%. Missed arrival recorded. It was escalating. Like the model was stabilizing around a behavior that never existed. I checked the projected future arrivals graph again. The 2:17 a.m. cluster was now darker, more defined. Confidence projection for next week. 2:17 a.m., 99%. That shouldn't happen. Confidence increases when prediction matches reality. But nothing was matching. There was no arrival. No plate recognition. No engine detected. Yet the confidence kept rising, which meant the system was reinforcing itself without confirmation. Day 20-3. I decided to break the loop. At 2:16 a.m. I went downstairs. Stood near the garage entrance. Camera in view. No car. Just me. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. The gate began to lift. I was standing directly under the camera. It wasn't designed to recognize pedestrians, only plates. The log updated. Prediction triggered. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. Confidence, 99%. Then something new appeared. For the first time, arrival confirmed. I felt my chest tighten. Arrival confirmed? I looked around. No vehicle. No headlights. Just me in the driveway. I checked the log details. Recognition. Source. LPR. Camera. 01 plate ID. Verified. But my car was parked inside the garage. I could see it. Row C. Spot 27. The system had confirmed an arrival without a vehicle entering. I reviewed the camera footage. There was no car. The gate opened. I stepped slightly forward under the camera's field of view. The barrier finished rising, and in the log, that counted as confirmation, which meant one thing. The system wasn't strictly verifying plates anymore. It was matching motion pattern and time alignment. If the predicted arrival window matched expected timing, and there was movement in the capture zone, it could close the loop. It didn't need a license plate. It needed pattern alignment. Day 24. 2:17 a.m. I stayed upstairs in my apartment. Didn't go down. Didn't move. 2:17:03. Gate opened. Confidence, 99%. And then, arrival. Confirmed. No motion in driveway. No vehicle. No pedestrian. The confirmation occurred anyway. That's when I realized the final shift. The system had stopped distinguishing between prediction and outcome. If confidence reached 99%, it self-validated. The algorithm treated the prediction as fulfillment. Expected arrival became recorded arrival. The next morning, my access log showed 2 entries. 2:17 a.m. Entry 6:41 p.m. to entry. One of them had never physically happened. But in the system, both were equally real. Day 20-5. I checked the resonant dashboard. Under mobility statistics, it showed daily arrivals, 2 behavior consistency, excellent 2 arrivals, 1 real. 1 synthetic. And because the synthetic arrival was now consistently confirmed, the model had fully integrated it. Then something else appeared. Projected future arrivals. 2:17 p.m. Confidence 64%. 2:17 a.m. Confidence 99%. 6:41 p.m. Confidence 99%. A new time. 2:17 p.m. The system was expanding. If 2:17 a.m. had stabilized, it was now simulating a daytime counterpart. Day 26, 2:17 p.m. I was at work. Phone buzz. Garage notification. Arrival confirmed. I checked the live feed. Empty driveway. The gate was already lowering. No visible entry. Log recognition source. Predictive model plate ID. Virtual confirmation. Virtual confirmation. It wasn't even pretending to use the camera anymore. The system had created a closed behavioral loop. Prediction gives confirmation, gives reinforcement. Without needing the physical event. That's when the file metric changed. Under my profile, resident mobility score, autonomous pattern achieved autonomous. The system no longer needed me to drive. It had enough data to simulate my arrival behavior indefinitely. And because each simulated arrival reinforced confidence, it became permanent. Now, every day, 6:41 p.m. to I arrive. 2:17 a.m. -1 arrive. 2:17 p.m. to I arrive. 3 entries. 1. Real. 2. Synthetic. All confirmed. And according to the system statistics, my routine is perfectly consistent, even when I'm not there. Day 27. I woke up to a notification I hadn't seen before. Parking usage alert, tier adjustment. I opened the app. Under my account, daily entries, 3 average. Duration, 14h 12 meters. Pattern consistency, 100%. 3 entries, which meant 3 exits, because every confirmed arrival eventually required a logged departure. Except I wasn't leaving at 2:17 a.m. or 2:17 p.m. But according to the system, I was. I opened the detailed log. 2:17 a.m. Entry confirmed. 2:18 a.m. Exit logged. 2:17 p.m. Entry confirmed. 2:19 p.m. Exit logged. 6:41 p.m. Entry confirmed. Actual exit when I left next morning. The synthetic arrivals now had synthetic exits. Perfectly symmetrical, perfectly clean, which meant the system wasn't just predicting arrival. It was simulating full parking sessions. Day 20-8. I received an invoice adjustment. Additional access cycles. Overage applied. It was a small amount. But real. The building classified my plan as standard resident. 2 cycles daily average. I was now averaging 3.1. Which pushed me into tier 2. I emailed management. This is incorrect. I only enter once per day. They responded with the log attached. 16 entries over 5 days. Timestamped. Verified. Recognition source. Predictive model. I asked them to review the camera footage. They did. The footage showed the gate opening, empty, driveway. Then closing. But because the system had logged confirmation, the footage was treated as routine. Activation. Not anomaly. The manager wrote, "Our adaptive mobility system reduces friction for frequent residents. Logs indicate consistent multi-cycle access. Multi-cycle. I drove home early that evening. At 6:39 p.m. The gate opened. I entered normally. But something was different. It closed faster behind me. Log. Arrival. Window locked. Stabilized. Pattern locked. The window no longer adjusted. It was fixed around the predicted schedule. Day 20-9. At 2:16 a.m. I stayed awake. Again. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. Gate opened. 2 hours 17 minutes and 15 seconds. Arrival. Confirmed. 2:18:02. Exit logged. But this time, something else appeared. Space allocation updated. I checked the garage map. My assigned parking spot had changed. Row C. Spot 27. Reassigned. New assignment. Row D. Spot 41. Farther from the elevator. Lower tier. Reason. Listed. High frequency mobility pattern. The system had optimized space usage. Frequent entries closer to exit. Lanes. Less frequent ones moved further, because it believed I entered 3 times daily. It categorized me as dynamic user and reassigned space accordingly. Day 30. Another notification. Excessive predictive deviation. Review required. I opened the details. Resident. Physical presence does not align with modeled mobility behavior. It had finally noticed something. The synthetic sessions were consistent, but my real movement data from key fob elevator logs didn't always match. There were nights when I didn't go downstairs at 2:17 a.m. The elevator system knew that. Parking system assumed I did. The building. Analytics compared both. Deviation detected. Under my profile. Mobility integrity score. 62% integrity as if I were failing to match my own behavior. Day 30-1. I received an automated message. To maintain access privileges, resident behavior must remain consistent with established mobility profile. I read it twice. The system wasn't correcting itself. It was asking me to match it. That night, at 2:16 am, went downstairs. Stood by the entrance. 2 hours 17 minutes and 3 seconds. Gate opened. Arrival confirmed. For the first time, it matched physically. I walked out through the driveway. Stood under the camera. Waited. 2 colon 18 colon 02. Exit. Logged. I returned upstairs. The next morning, mobility integrity score rose to 88%, which meant the system rewarded alignment. Day 32. Didn't go down at 2:17 p.m. Arrival confirmed. Anyway, integrity score dropped to 71%. Another alert. Behavioral drift. Increasing. The model had become the standard. My real-world behavior was the deviation. And then, on day 33, the final notification appeared. Access tier reduced. Due to inconsistent mobility pattern, my garage access slowed. The gate opened later. No pre-staging. No optimization. Manual recognition only, because I no longer aligned with the predictive model it had built. The system had optimized me. Then penalized me, all based on behavior it invented. Now every day. At 6:41 p.m., I arrive. 2:17 a.m. -1 arrive. 2:17 p.m., I arrive. Whether I do or not. And if I don't, the system assumes I'm inconsistent. Not wrong, just inconsistent. Because once a prediction reaches 99% confidence, it stops being a guess. It becomes a requirement.